So in this session, we have Ben Thompson, Senior Director of Analytics and Data Products from Bluestem, Kevin Wysocki, CEO of Sentinel Insights, Scotty Hagen, founder of Project 3 Consulting, and Aaron Ankini, Executive Vice President of Sentinel Insights. Please welcome them to the stage. Guys, yeah. Thanks. Good luck.
All right. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? All right. We're here to talk about real-world CDP use cases, the biggest challenges, and how teams are driving real impact with their data. So this is our intro slide. I can skip over this one. Kevin, could you please give us a quick overview of Sentinel Insights and how it works?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Aaron. One fast question from the crowd. So who has been on a MarTech team that has released the changes out of Tealium or some other TMS and actually sort of broken a metric or a report, or have been on the receiving end of a report and actually looking at it saying, something doesn't look right here? Just like a quick show of hands. All right, so 40%. And somehow the 60% of you have not had that happen are like the luckiest people that I know of, because in my 17 years of doing this, I see it with every single customer. And so what Sentinel Insights is a real-time sort of monitoring and cassette platform like for data quality. And we monitor so every single data point like for every technology in real time for every visitor. And so what that's able to do is detect anomalies in all these different pieces about your implementation. Say there's a change in your data layer, there's a variable that goes away, or there's a variable that, such as like product price, that changes from a number to a string, or there's a JavaScript error that's coming from your MarTech stack that's impacting like the user experience in some way, or there's data being like collected sort of outside of like user consent. We can instantly sort of flag that and alert that like for you, so you can minimize the amount of bad data that's entering into your data pipelines. And so also, we up-level your team's capabilities by giving them a virtual consultant that can actually make recommendations on all the industry best practices and the technology best practices that you're using, so that they can focus on actually like delivering value. So, awesome. Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Kevin. Ben, you've been working within the Tealium ecosystem for a long time. Tell us a bit about your journey and how it's impacted your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey guys, Ben Thompson from Bluestem Brands. I'm the customer. So we've been with Tealium for about 12 years now, and then the past few years partnering with these guys here. We've had a really interesting journey, and I'm sorry if you hear journey a lot these days at these conferences. It's not the awesome band. So what we've done with Tealium is really built out an ecosystem. We've been using IQ, Audience Stream, Event Stream, all the products there, and we have built out the ability to turn ideas into actions, right? Well, I could tell you about our better targeting and segmentation and real-time data, but what it really has allowed us to do is to sit down at the table with our marketing partners, other partners from around the business, and say like, hey, you know what? I think we can actually pull that off. And with the partnership with Sentinel and Project 3, we've really poured fuel on that fire over the past few years. As you can see here, we've got our hockey jerseys rocking. We can't do a presentation without some sort of hockey reference. So, at Bluestem, we really see our partnership with these guys and with Tealium as a team sport. So, if you think of it in a hockey reference, Bluestem Brands is on the front lines, the center, your wingers, trying to score, trying to get that conversion from the customer. Project 3 backs us up and holds the blue line. They are assisting in that conversion, right? And they're making sure that the puck doesn't leave our zone and we're not in any trouble. And then Sentinel is there backing us up with awesome data quality, making sure that nothing slips through the cracks that's going to get us in any trouble. So we always appreciate our goalie, and we never pull the goalie.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. What's been the biggest hurdle in your CDP implementation, and how did you overcome it?
Probably that I had no idea what I was doing when I started. No, probably two big hurdles. The first was, we didn't really have a very good use case roadmap. We started with some really solid use cases, and we got those implemented with our Tealium partners, and it was great. We were humming, and then it's sort of like, hey, what do we do with this thing, right? Like, this is almost 7 years ago. CDP was relatively new, certainly new to our company, certainly new to our users. and we weren't sure quite what else to do there. Second was data quality. Once we started running things real time, that's when you notice your quality issues, right? There is no in between. There's no checking before you send that customer an experience. It's not sitting in a database for you to query later and investigate. Like, your quality has to be on point right away. And enter these guys. They helped us a lot in both of those areas.
Awesome. Scotty, you and the Project 3 team have worked with a lot of companies implementing CDPs, and where do you see the most mistakes?
I think it comes down to what Ben said is the roadmap, and having a solid roadmap and having a framework that allows you to prioritize use cases amongst value and being consistent. I think what happens in a lot of organizations is executives come in and say, we need to do this now, and they don't understand all of the complexities. So what we've been able to help clients such as Bluestem Brands is to come in and help create a framework and not only create it, but show them how we would use it and prioritize those use cases so the most value is being delivered the fastest. So,
awesome. Ben, you have access to a ton of data. How are your teams using it to power AI and personalization?
Yeah, the last couple of years have been really exciting. As I mentioned, now that we've been able to really build a trust in our data, then we can ignite AI with it. So without getting too technical or nerdy, like, we're a big event stream customers. We pipe every single event into Databricks for analysis, for AI purposes. We've built out some really great products internally for our users. So, a couple that I'll just mention real quick. First is we have ratings and reviews, as I'm sure many of you do if you're retailers. Our merchants used to sit down for their respective areas and read reviews of their products and say, like, hey, should I contact the vendor about this? Maybe it's arriving damaged, or the color doesn't match the picture, or those sorts of things. It's a great case for AI to summarize all of those reviews for our vendors and actually alert them on, hey, this new product that you put in, is missing pieces all the time when people get it. That's what they're mentioning in their review. So we have AI doing that. We've got search categorization. So the one that really tossed us off is, when we look at our search trends and we've tried to decide, what products we're going to stock, you get things like crib and bassinet, right? Bassinet's way down here. Cribs may be here, but when you combine them, they're up here, right? AI is a great use case for combining those search terms and categorizing them together. Not something humans want to sit around and do, but can be extremely powerful. And as you all know, if you're Tealium users, Tealium sees every search term that comes through. We're doing other things with fraud, with web analytics, on and on. But I think the basis of it is your data, right? You can take hold of your own data. You can store it, you can kind of play around with it, and if you trust it, then you can empower it with AI.
Perfect segue, Ben. Kevin, how does Sentinel Insights help ensure that Bluestem and other companies are maximizing the value from their CDP investments?
Yeah, so I look at the CDP as sort of like a mining engine where you're putting in these raw inputs of gold, which is your data, and hopefully getting sort of insights and these actionable things you can do with it. But if the thing you're putting in there is like fool's gold, like and actually not accurate, then there's not a lot of value that you're going to get. And so going back to Ben's analogy, right? Well, actually, one more thing on the CDP, right? So implementing that, right? There's tons of value that the CDP can unlock for a business, but it also takes the people and focus in order to get the insights and take the actions that are on the things that you're getting from the CDP. And so going back to Ben's analogy, right? We can help keep his team playing offense and actually doing the high value tasks of doing some use case identification, building insights, and then activating on that, rather than playing the defensive things, like doing sort of manual testing, or like trying to diagnose sort of why something is happening, which can take days, weeks, or months, right? And so we are keeping his team focused on the high value items that can then like deliver action like for the business. So.
Awesome. Ben, what's been your most exciting or unexpected CDP use case?
Exciting, I would say there's been some really cool fraud use cases. So Bluestem has a credit component where folks can get a credit account and use that to purchase from us. And if any of you play in the consumer finance or credit spaces, you know that fraud is quite popular these days. So we've done some really great fraud detection. We've done some really good fraud alerting. Unfortunately, I can't tell you too many details about those things. But the other one that I thought was really exciting that you guys will at first glance be like, oh wow, yeah, real exciting, was actually just retargeting. So your retargeting when you don't have a CDP is based largely on pixels, cookies, those sorts of things. We took our retargeting and we just absolutely blew it up with the CDP. So, we're able to segment better and get the right messages in front of people. We're able to go, across devices and cookies because of stitching and because of, our better identity. We're able to do things like give you better promotions because we can match you up against our internal models and say like, hey, it's actually worth it for me to give Kev this promotion, right? And then we can even tie promotions, calling our internal services and saying, hey, only give Kev this promotion so he doesn't post it, on some message board somewhere and everybody uses it. So we've sort of orchestrated this really cool use case where it was, very simple before, and we just absolutely exploded it. And I would say the key to getting that all put together was, not just hooking up all the connectors and whatever, but like because everything happens in real time, the orchestration required that, every piece of our orchestra had the same sheet music, we're playing the same notes, that sort of thing. That was the tricky part of it. But once you nail that down, like it's really powerful what you can do.
Awesome. Scotty, how do you help companies like Bluestem take CDP data and make it actionable?
Yeah, great question, Aaron. So we have a great team that helps go into a client, really see what they're doing from that use case perspective. And like I mentioned before, that framework is important. But I also think we help clients with the CDP, like initially make them aware of the challenges that they're going to be facing, because a lot of times the challenge when putting in a CDP is thought of as technical. And I would actually say your biggest challenge is going to be the people. I know that sounds really wrong to say it that way, but you're going to find that your CDPs will tend to get into other people's worlds, and they need to understand what the power can bring, and that they might have to loosen up their kingdom and their grip a little bit to see this value. So that's what we help with. It's not just the technical side, because we've got a phenomenal team that will help with that, but I think we really help in that smoothing over and how to message to leaders.
Absolutely. Ben, in this era of budget consciousness, how has your CDP helped drive efficiencies and cost savings?
Oh yeah, the simple kind of obvious one is the advertising costs, right? Like we can just pull you from audiences when you're not eligible to buy anymore, or you just purchased something, right? It's super easy. Meta, Google will pull you out of audiences. The more complicated ones that are actually really cool though are when it comes to the vendor landscape, we can either fire vendors or not hire them at all. And I know if any of you are from our vendors, I'm sorry, that hurts. But because we own our own data through the data pipelines, we can build things ourselves. So you can see, some of the bullets that are up here, we're able to not buy these things from others because it's our data. We can take hold of it and we can use it for ourselves. So it was mentioned a few times yesterday about the ability to do analysis on your own data. We actually did that. So we actually fired Adobe. Sorry, anybody from Adobe. We saved a very large six-figure sum. An Adobe fan or maybe detractor. So
that guy a jersey.
Yeah, you get a jersey. We saved a very large six-figure sum, and we built our own web analytics tool. So pumping data through EventStream, event level data, we put it into Databricks. We do a little bit of data transformation on it, so it's easier for a front end to use. And then we use Google's Looker product, kind of customized to us to actually have an interface for our analysts. So January 6th, we shut off the Adobe tag. We're about 3 months in now, and it's gone fantastic, right? So huge savings for the company. Amongst all the other things that we've done with Tealium data, that one's been a really big win.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, I went out of order with my questions earlier. I don't know if you noticed, but would you add anything to that? Is there anything that Sentinel can do to help reduce costs and drive efficiencies?
Yeah, so absolutely. So one thing that we actually helped Ben with was identifying like extra link calls and server calls that were being sent to Adobe that were just wasting money. Like duplicate data like was being passed, or it was being passed in like an unnecessary way, where if you merge those calls into a single call, it then drastically cuts down like the amount of server calls that you're being done. And so that's a major effort that we had together. I would say the other large pieces are really just saving time, because your team has to be focused on making sure that they're taking the highest value actions inside in that CDP, and doing all of your manual testing or trying to diagnose an issue that one user found, say, like weeks ago or months ago, but you haven't been able to fix it, right? That's just going to waste your time, and it's going to distract you from the higher value things. And so it's one of the biggest value adds that we have here.
Awesome. Excellent curveball hitting.
Yeah.
This is the final question. I want to make sure we have a little bit of time for Q&A, but Ben, if you could give one piece of advice to companies that are just getting started with a CDP, what would it be?
Yeah, I would absolutely say just don't go it alone, right? Find some great partners to do it with. Like I told you, I did not know what I was doing when I got into this journey, and now years later we've been incredibly successful, and I can't say enough about the guys here on the stage with me. Wayne Gretzky said, I have to throw in another hockey reference. Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Give these guys a shot. They're really great partners and can really ignite your CDP for you.
Awesome, thank you, Ben. Are there any questions from anybody in the crowd? No? Great jersey. Oh, yeah. Perfect. So that actually, I can wrap up. We do have jerseys available for everybody. In your swag bags, there's a QR code. Eric and Kara and Dave are lingering around towards the back. So please stop by, get your jersey. And if you have any questions of anybody afterwards, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or just come up and chat. We're all pretty friendly folks. So appreciate it. Thank you for the time.